All right, thanks for staying with us. A new study from the University of Arizona management professor Alison Gabriel reveals that so-called Queen Bee syndrome, the phenomenon of powerful women being disliked, is very real, and that women are often meaner to each other than men are to women. There is a narrative that we have been fed with, which has had a negative impact on our growth in friendship, career, relationships, and day-to-day living. So do you think women can be, a woman can be a great friend, a business icon, a faithful wife, at the same time be a very honest human being? That's the question. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. As I'm just reading this, it's this slap that's in my head. I can't, so it's International Women's Month. We keep on talking about the things that matter to us as women. I hear this all the time. And that's why, for me, the incident that happened yesterday just really completely broke my heart, because, again, you are just further fueling that narrative that says women are not supportive of each other, women are always their worst enemies, blah, 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 like that. You know, so, but do you think, in all honesty, I think we've gotten better. I think women are a lot more supportive. I've seen friendship that spans decades, you know, and all of that amongst women. So, but do you think there's any truth in that narrative that says we are worst enemies? Maybe who should I start with?
You know, this question is a very tricky one, because you don't also want to continue to fuel that narrative that says we're our worst enemy. But I think that sometimes we have women. Okay, so now I'm a woman, I run my own business. The truth is, when I go out to try to, you know, get clients, if I meet a woman boss, a female boss, the chances of them helping me are very slim, honestly. But if I meet a man, chances are very high. So whatever it is, I don't know why, I don't know, you know, some people say, okay, then the men are better with the women or whatever, but the chances of a woman helping another woman, they're very slim. Yeah, so I don't know where that leaves us, you know.
I think you have cemented it well.
I think that for women, we project a lot. So we're very critical of ourselves, and a lot of women pass that criticism onto other people. So you're concerned about the way you look. So of course, because you're concerned about the way you look, when you see another woman, the first thing that you're going to target is how she looks. And sometimes you're doing it to make yourself feel better. Sometimes you're, and then you do something so long it becomes a habit. So as soon as a woman walks past you, you size her up from head to toe, and that's what you're looking at.
Like, I've just finished sizing you today.
Well, you know. So I think that's where the problem is. The narrative is not a false narrative, but I think it's a mindset problem, right? That it's happened. Everyone has that story of one friend who got married and all of a sudden didn't want her single friends close to her. She may have had a bad experience, she may not have. It may be the programming, and the programming is strong. What we carry inside of us that we've been told over the years, we've been raised, we've seen other people's experiences, it's very powerful. So the narrative is not a false one. If we canvas all of us on this table now, we have one experience that completely changed us. And it was from another woman.
My sister.
The nasty comments, the things that have happened, it comes from another woman. You know, all of the things, a lot of things that we do, how we look, how we dress, the makeup, everything, half the time, I mean, men like it, but half the time, they really don't care.
It's because of the fellow woman.
It's the way you wanna feel around other women.
To oppress you.
Exactly.
So I'm going to the gym.
Exactly. So that's what it is. And that's why I said that for me, where I believe it stems from is our own inner insecurities. Yeah. The thing you're focused on is what you're likely to latch on with somebody else.
You project
Exactly, you project. So I don't know. You see, the narrative that I'm even more scared of is the one that says it's getting better. Because sometimes I'm not sure. I think that the smoke screen that says it's getting better is getting louder. But are we truly changing women's mindsets towards each other? Right. I'm not sure. And that's, I think, what Manny was trying to talk about, that when I encounter a woman, my chances are less or lower than when I encounter a man. So that narrative, I think, is the one that we need to be most concerned about. Is it true change, or are we just building smoke screens?
Awesome. Let me bring in our guest. She will answer Uti's question. Now, Bina's earliest memory of writing dates back to the 80s, when she was about 6 or 7, and she wrote a book she titled Johnny and the Scalawag. Now, which was written and illustrated by her with pencil, and she struck its 7 or 8 pages together with water gum to create a bonded prose work. Now, today she is a lawyer by training whose random interest when she is not being a legal profession includes drooling over plant species, oh my goodness, hosting friends for drinks at home, and spending meditative time at the beach while listening transcendentally to music from eras past. Now, she resides in the chaotic coastal city of our Lagos, Nigeria, with her husband. This one shocked me. And 3 children, and she's looking hot like this. But thank you so much, Bina, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
You know me, I'm not those women that cannot. I know how to pass compliments
you.
well. Because one of the biggest problems we have as women, we don't know how to say please.
Oh, that is so.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know, I went for a wedding in December, and there was a lady, my friend, classmate, old classmate. She was sitting close to me, and I said, "You look really beautiful." She said, "Thank you." And then, like 15 minutes after I paid her that compliment, she said, "Thank you." I was like, "For what again?" She said, "For what you said, that women never do this."
No, we never do that.
I was
We
like,
never do
really?
that.
But
Some
I don't
people are
notice it
suspicious
because I
though when they
give
do
so much.
when
But
people do it.
can I provide a different perspective? So I've heard you.
Yes.
And we all know the famous, and I tend to quote that a lot because I really believe about the danger of a single story. I was just thinking as I was listening to all of you, and I was like, well, I haven't had much of that experience, at least in the corporate sense. My experience has been really, really mainly positive with women colleagues, women leaders. They've been extremely supportive. Most of my close friends are friends that I met from work. Some of them were previous bosses. And so I do think that it's good whilst we are sharing, and that's not to cancel or undermine the previous opinions, but I do think that there are 2 sides to the story.
No, I love what you have said now,
Yeah.
because we always say we always also look forward to having a balanced conversation.
Yeah.
That's your reality. It's possible again within your circle and what.
But that's not to say I haven't observed others with what you said. But I'm just saying my personal experience has been
So
positive.
I like the title of your book. In fact, that was what caught my interest when Manny said "Bridges are for Bonnie." I was wondering, this is a different. Some people when they want to write book, first of all they will now say, what is But I like that it caught my attention. And when I read the small part that talked about betrayal, right? This betrayal that you talk that people talk about, rather, it's more common amongst women. I like what you're saying. You're trying to be positive. I was like you until they showed me their true color. So I have experienced betrayal firsthand, and it was not a pleasant sight. But that does not mean that moving after that, I do not trust women. What my principle is as a woman is, I will trust you until you give me another reason not to, right? That's the principle that I operate in. So I don't know about every other person. But tell me why, first of all, you chose those particular areas. Why did you concentrate on those 4 key areas? Is this something that has been a burden for you and you really wanted to deal with it, and through the book that you authored?
Well, I think as a writer, one of the things that you do, whether you're doing it, that you're doing it actively or passively, is you're observing and you're picking things and you're like, that would be a good thing for a story. That would be a good thing to explore. I think also the fact that I think I'm very philosophical in the way that I approach things. And so when I set out to write this book, I wanted to, in the broadest sense, I said I wanted to explore human nature. And I used these characters that I wrote about in my book, and I focused on 3. There were male characters as well, but my 3 main characters were female. And I focused on the themes that are strong around female characters, so friendship, betrayal, and all of those things. And I talked about female entrepreneurship as well, so it was a complete package, I would say.
Interesting. Do you want to comment?
I mean, I would like to come back to what you mentioned when you talked about when you were introducing the show about women and can we be, you reeled off a long list, honest person. And my first question was, isn't this just boiling down to dissecting the different sections or elements of being a decent human being. Does it matter whether it's
Yeah.
man or woman? But I'd just like to talk about the pressures that women face. What do you think, given how you've constructed these characters, what do you think were the driving forces? Because they've ended up in different situations in their lives and probably have regrets and doubts, and maybe looking back, I would have done things differently. What do you think was the thought process behind that?
The premise was really the fact that as humans, and to your point, it's not just women, it's humans. As humans, we are, I think, we have flaws. I don't want to say we are fundamentally flawed, but we do have flaws. And I wanted to interrogate those flaws. Like, what are the types of things that we do that we know are not good, but we do them anyway. And so, connected to the title, Bridges Are for Burning, it's like a bridge. When you're forming relationships with people, whether it's a cordial relationship, a work relationship, a business relationship, you are building bridges. And so they say, don't burn your bridges.
Yeah.
But in this case, when I say bridges are for burning, it is whether you're doing it deliberately or not, your actions have consequences. And when you've taken those consequences, sometimes you're burning bridges that you may never be able to reconstruct. So it was really around exploring that part of humanity from a woman's point of view, that just does the things that we're not supposed to do, but we do them. And also the layered nature of the human nature, how that, in the book I talk about friendship, really close friendship. And in friendships, you would find that sometimes I'm sure we've all maybe heard or experienced the same. We talked about yourself being betrayed, where you had a very close friendship with someone, but they betrayed you. Did that mean that they absolutely didn't like you? Maybe not. Maybe they liked you and were really close friends with you at some point. But maybe there were parts, and I don't know your story, but it's just in terms of my story, it was more like there are parts of you that they're jealous of or envious of, and that eats at the love that they have for you and maybe overwhelms it at some point. And that's what leads to betrayal.
Auntie Bina, you see me, I'm smiling, I'm looking at you. And she said she never experienced that more. Okay, tell me that part of that betrayal for me. Because you see, there's no woman, and this is a common thing amongst women. We are too envious of people. I didn't understand what envy was because I wasn't raised that way, right? I mean, we are 7 girls in my home and 2 boys. So it wasn't a thing of, oh, I see this thing. I don't know how to see something on you and say I must have it. I know how to see something on you and comment it and say, it looks really good on you, but I'm not wishing that I have it, right? But I thought that was a common thing amongst, but it's not. And that's why you see there's a ripple effect when it comes to even the bomb doing and all of this. It's like, this person don't go do, me say go do. It's we are too, you understand, we are too competitive as women, right? So let's focus more on that part, tell us a bit of that betrayal story. Let's even understand why that had to come out in the book in the first place, in the conversation.
The focal point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't be able to give you much.
No, don't give names. Don't give names.
Because I don't want to give away the story, but it's really about, like I said, people being close, and then in that closeness, there is envy. They coexist, love and envy coexisting. Or sometimes it's not even envy. Envy is probably a strong word because in the context of my book, these friends really did love each other, like genuinely loved each other. It was more sometimes it's self-talk. It's this one person reading that other person's actions and thinking to herself, oh, her life is so perfect. I wish mine was as perfect as hers. Everything works out for this person. So it's some of it is you. I think you talk about projecting what your perceived inadequacies are, and saying it's this person's fault, whereas it's your mind interpreting those things. And that's where competition comes from. From what you said, you grew up in a way where you didn't think that somebody else's thing was something to grasp at. It was more, oh wow, that's nice, and that's why you're free with complimenting people. But the converse effect of that, if you're not that way, is you start to think about and say, why is she even acting that way? Why is she behaving that way? Is it because, so it's all about a lot of the way, and it's not just about women right now, a lot of humans generally, most times, I would say maybe more than 60% of the time, we're the ones talking to ourselves. That's why sometimes when somebody is talking to you, you have to be careful about what are you hearing versus what are you interpreting. And so it's all of those things. So it's the way that I put it, it was very layered, because these things that I talked about, they're not very easy to just pinpoint. So it took a story to try to peel those layers to try to make that story around it.
Okay. On that note, let's go and drink water. We'll be right back from the break. Stay with us.
All right.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat. We're trying to bring her leg out. She's not out yet. With Bina we're asking the question, can a woman be all? A great friend, a business icon, a faithful wife, and an honest human being, right? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. Okay, Manny, you had a question.
No, not a question. So I want us to go to the business icon. But before we go to the woman as a business icon, I want to talk about what you just said. You know, just like you, I don't know what it feels like to be jealous or to be envious. So there are really people that don't know what that means. You understand? So for me, I was talking to somebody today and I was telling him, I said, you know, I'm one of those people that would not even notice if someone was being, you know, like mean to me first. I just act like, it's not like I'm acting, because I just want to believe the best first. So it takes a while for me to know that you are trying to be mean to me. You know, even racism, people complain about, you know, when we go out being racist, and I don't feel it.
Notice it.
Because I don't notice it, because I don't think you should be that way. So I'm not looking to see something.
Yeah.
And you know, the Bible says, out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth will speak. So what you're saying is, this self-talk is something that goes on the inside, and then before they know what's going on, it comes outside, sometimes in words, in actions. So I know that this happens with women, you know, when they're sizing up themselves and everything. But let's move to the business icon, because I'm up for women who, you know, are, you know, doing very well financially, business-wise. So what inspired you to form that character?
Yeah, so the three women were entrepreneurs in my book. And the reason I did that was because in Nigeria, I think the women are very entrepreneurial, so entrepreneurial, and I thought it would do justice to kind of like, the book is set in Lagos. Lagos particularly have very entrepreneurial people, and women in particular. So I really wanted to showcase that part of our culture. That's why.
But I want to ask a question. When you're showcasing it, are you showcasing it as businesses that are moving beyond just, how do they put it? Small, playing
shops.
it small? Because again, this is what we do. In fact, that's why we're talking about it on a Friday, because we talk about women, especially in businesses, on Fridays. And we always complain about how it seems like any woman that is in business, she's not able to see beyond, oh, let me just, you know, hire small staff, do this. Women are not daring when it comes to businesses. They are not looking for a business that is building like $1 billion turnover on a monthly basis. You know, we are not thinking that way. You know, so how can we, or maybe the narrative, you know, that you're trying to project with the write-up, the book, how can it help women to see bigger visions when it comes to becoming truly an icon in business? Because you cannot be an icon not be just name. You have to really be the icon.
Yeah.
So the three characters in my book had three interesting professions. So one was a fashion designer who was the top of the line in her field. That goes to your question around, was it like playing small or playing large? And that particular person, the person was a fashion designer, very well known, had international guests come flying into the country to actually watch the fashion show that she created, and eventually moved into a building in a very in a high-rise building. That's part of the story, but it just shows you that the way that the story was structured is she was not playing small, she was playing big. Another one was a social media strategist, a digital presence strategist, and that was meant to show the changing landscape of the kinds of new new opportunities that have been presented by social media and technology. So that was another field that I focused on. And then the last one was fitness. Fitness is, everybody's trying to do fitness these days. And so again, I wanted to share part of the story was sharing things that people would resonate with. And in that story, it was the person who was a fitness enthusiast made a business out of it, and didn't just say, okay, yeah, I have this following and that's okay. She then began to from showing workout regimens, she started to sell merchandise. And so I think it goes to the story around, I think I was able to weave that into the story in terms of, yes, they're entrepreneurs, but then how do they project and grow their business and move it forward? And all because I think it's a positive spin to being an entrepreneur.
I think you're a very positive spirited person.
so let me try and be not quite a pessimist. Let me just try and bring another context to the conversation, because when I look at all these titles, friend, icon, faithful woman, honest human, I'm in the back of my mind, what's resonating with me is the context or the concept of superwoman. The expectations on the shoulders of a woman. For these characters that you've created, and your thoughts around that concept, can a woman, because when we ask the question, can a woman be all? I like to ask, I have my own personal views about whether a woman can have it all, but I'd like to hear how you crafted the characters in that context, and then what you think as well. Do you think a woman can have it all and can be all?
Let me start by answering the last question you asked, and then I'll go backward. I think I like the way you positioned it when you started talking at the beginning, when you said you were wondering why we're asking if a woman can be all versus can a human being be all. It was more like it doesn't really have anything to do with gender. So I think I kind of lean toward that. I don't think it has anything to do with our gender per se. But when we say all, what does all mean? Like, what does all mean?
Well, so we've couched it nicely in, I think, maybe 3 key things. I think honest is pretty much for everybody, but the concept that a woman, I mean, when we think about a woman's life and the expectations and the narrative for a woman, right? We started off being homemakers, and then we started to have more opportunities. We were looking to smash the glass ceiling. So today there's all those expectations. Women are juggling a lot of things. A woman is a mother, she's an entrepreneur, she's got a job, she's got a wife, she's a mother. So we're dealing with so many roles. I think that's the best way to put it. So many roles, all in the context of the same person. So when I take that out for a man, you know, a man is a father, is a prize, one-track mind, you know. But with women, you face challenges, or you face, again, those expectations, which come from both men and women, to be fair, is you work late, but you worry because your children have to be looked after, they have to be cared for. So can you, when I say can you have it all, you know, some women believe that they can because they try to do everything. And is that a path to burnout? Is that a path to you can't come and keep myself? So that's what I mean. That narrative is a very strong one, particularly for our gender. So just interesting to hear how your characters play into that.
So I think the way that I put it in my book, Can a Woman Be All? I'll start from my personal perspective. What do I think? I think a woman can be all, if that's what your definition of all. I think you can be all, but you just have to be mindful about how much, it's going to be a weighted thing, a weighted game. So there might be more weight here in your career, and maybe home might be a little bit here. I don't think that everything can be on the same level. And I think coming to terms with that helps. So that's my personal view. In the book, I talk about a character, one of my characters, Alana, who she had this pressure. She had felt this pressure to be perfect all the time. She wanted to be this is the fashion designer I was talking about. She wanted everyone to say, oh, she has this beautiful business, wonderful husband, wonderful child, wonderful marriage. She had all of that pressure in her, and those pressures were creating insecurities, because sometimes those demands that we place on ourselves as women are unrealistic. And she did put those unrealistic demands on herself. Nobody did. She did it on herself. So I think you can be all, as long as you realize that not everything might make progress at the same pace at the same time. If you are able to better manage your expectations. People ask me, like, for example, how are you able to work full-time and write a book? We all have 24 hours in a day. So it's all about prioritization. It wasn't that at some point my home life had to suffer a bit, and I had to have a discussion with my husband to say, in order for me to write this book, it takes time to write books. I'm having to write this book and still have a full-time job and take care of the children. I'm going to need you for this period to take a front seat with the family, and I'll do, I'll pick up when I come back. So
I like this. I'm going to say something about this now. I like what you just said, Bina. We look at the Proverbs 31 woman, as a perfect woman. So in celebrating this International Women's Month, I did an expose on the Proverbs 31 woman on Clubhouse. And then when I started reading everything, you know, we've read this like a million times, but then when you now want to do something on it, I started reading everything again. I was like, she was perfect. She was a perfect wife. She was a beautiful mother. She took care of her staff. You know, she was a business icon. It talked about her merchandise, how it was, you know, doing well. You know, she was making money. She was everything. So I think when we look at that picture, we see the picture of a great woman who had everything working for her. But you just, you know, you just put this in, would I say, you just made it more real by saying that, yes, you can have everything, but maybe not everything working 100 at the same time. So you have to talk to your husband. Okay, you guys will just have to give me a break for a while. I need to focus on this. So it's not like you were 100 when you were writing the book. You were 100 when you were being a wife. You were 100 when you were being a mother. No. Some things have
but that's
to
the expectation.
Something.
That is the
Something has to give, right? And that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
But I loved where you ended it and how you talked about the support system, because that brings me to the next part of the conversation, which is it takes a village.
Yeah.
So yes, it's true. It takes a village. You know, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, they weren't kidding. But now, you know, it takes a village just to live. So when we start to come back to the context of these three women and the context of friendships, what's the thought process around that support system? When we were talking earlier, you said, oh, you've never had experiences or negative experiences. So that leads me to believe you've selectively built a support system or a network that you can trust. So just to give some thoughts around that, the fact that a support system is so important and how you can go about building one and leveraging one.
I think we are only as good as our support systems, to be honest.
Sure.
I think we are only, because we are one person. We are only as good as the support systems that we have as women. And the reason that I shared my perspective about my experiences with women is because I've had women who have supported me, who have encouraged me along the way, who have been so I've had that, and I have also been that person. You know, it's not about just expecting people to be there for you. What are you being to people? And what the energy, sometimes the energy you give off, you attract. And so if you are helpful, if you are respectful, if you are kind, you tend to create a force field around you that attracts those types of things and those types of people. So it starts with you. Michael Jackson said, looking at the man in the mirror. So start with yourself. If each of us were to look in the mirror and say, I'm going to be a better woman, I'm going to be a better person today, that ripple effect of each person making that decision makes all of us better people. And then we would interact with better people. So start with yourself, and then what you're demanding of others, demand from yourself first, because then you're setting a good example of what you're asking for, and then you can interrupt that person who says, we cannot have women who are good and who are supporting people.
So there's something that you talked about when you talked about living freely. Do you understand? Living freely with, envy and love can coexist. Do you truly believe that envy and love can coexist? Because when you talk about the energy you give off, my own energy, I say maybe I'm happy myself, but I thought I was good. Until whatever happened.
Well, that's not to say that bad things cannot come around you. I'm not saying in general.
No, I'm just trying to be sarcastic. You know, but you see, the thing is, so what's your honest advice, right? Because it's one thing for you to really be optimistic and have faith in the what's it called, the possibility that we can truly be great together. But when you're dealing with someone that has loads of insecurity, and the person has not been able to rise above those insecurities, what's your honest advice? Let's look away from the book now. We're talking to ourselves as women. What's your honest advice? Do you continue to hold on to those relationships? Or, you know, you probably give those people, like, you step aside and say, I think you need to grow. Then when you get to where you are supposed to get to, then we can now resume the relationship. What's your honest advice on that?
So the premise that you started with is you've tried to help the person. The person still can't overcome their insecurities. Well, I think relationships should be they really should be symbiotic. If they're not symbiotic, that's where frustration sets in. Oh, I'm always calling you, I'm always being there for you, you're not being there for me. So if you are trying to help someone, you've done everything you can, and you're not feeling like you're getting the results that you want, you're not getting what you want from that relationship, I think you need to make a decision as to whether it's worth continuing, because relationships take energy. And if you're putting in a lot of energy, you're not getting the rewards that you're expecting. If the reward, and it all depends on what rewards you're expecting. If the reward you're expecting is improvement in this person, or this person changing their behavior, and you're not getting that, I mean, I'm very loath to advise people, but I kind of feel like you need to take a decision for what's best for you in that relationship, because otherwise you're just going to be giving, and not getting anything back.
Absolutely. Let's take some comments. Uti.
Okay, so I've got two. One is from Iyuri from Gombe. It says, good evening, ladies. A woman can be all, but it has to come in stages, because not everything can be okay at the same time. Some areas may suffer, but when you get to the next stage, you overcome. So that's pretty much in line with what we've talked about. And the next one is from Daniel Illo, our regular fan. He says, good evening, my dear beautiful sister of What Are You Saying ways. Women are a good, wonderful, and beautiful gift from God, and will forever be. Sure, I agree. A woman can be a great friend, business icon, faithful wife, and honest human. Women do have a problem. Instead of complimenting one another, they decide to beef one another, which is very bad. God help them. And there's a comment for you, Owa. Says, Sister Owa, God bless you. You're really looking beautiful and lovely.
Oh, Lord have mercy, baby. Thank you. Okay, so let me take a comment, and Manny, you take yours.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies. Very interesting topic always. First of all, I think we are overemphasizing gender issue. We should rather treat humans as humans. When success was about muscle, men naturally dominated, but now it's all about brains. My take on this topic of the day: women, just like men, can be anything they want to be. I think that's why humans are referred to as beings. In that, we have the capability rather to be all and more. A woman can be all that is listed, depending on she alone. It starts with you. This is Usman from Gombe. Thank you so much for your comment. Manny, I think you have a comment.
Okay, just to comment on your comment. I think the reason we're talking about the woman is because we're still celebrating the
International Women's Month, yes.
Yeah, so that's why. So I have my comment from BC, and it says, good evening, ladies. I have really worked well with women as bosses and colleagues. I believe so much in women rights and empowerment, so I do encourage women to support fellow women. Have I been betrayed by my gender? Of course, but it hasn't stopped me talking about women all the way. I found out that when you make excuses why people behave the way they do, it helps to move along. Beautiful. It helps you to move along well. No matter how people pretend, how much people pretend, we all know we're not perfect as all humans. To be honest with you, I've had causes to detach myself from friends that have really hurt me. This doesn't mean I don't go out of my way to protect and speak for them when it's within my power to do so. Thanks, and have a great weekend. BC, I think you have a wonderful heart, honestly. I was going to say that when you asked Bina the last question, you know, I think that, yes, sometimes some people, you know, we are in this cancel generation where when things are not working, you cancel. When this one is not working, you cancel. We can't continue to cancel. Sometimes God brings us, you know, into other people's lives to help them. If it says that iron sharpens iron, it means that in some areas I may be weak, and in those areas you may be strong, and in the areas where you're weak, I'm strong. We're supposed to sharpen each other. So to answer your question, I think sometimes it's not about discarding the friendship. Like BC just said, you may take a step back, you may take a break, not necessarily discarding.
No. So what I do with people like that, I just take a break.
Yeah.
Because you also sometimes, again, you need to get to that point where you truly appreciate what it is that you have.
Yeah.
Most people are not able to see it. But Bina came bearing gifts, I believe, for all of us. Are you going to autograph it?
Sure.
But this book is really good. I'm
It's
just
so
curious.
beautiful.
No, I'm curious as to even the quality. How was it? You know, because it's difficult. Businesses in this country, you know, you can write all the nice things, then a printer will just decide that it's not your day.
Yeah.
So how were you able to get this? You know, was it done locally in Nigeria?
Well, I didn't self-publish. I was
Oh,
published
okay.
by a publisher, Masobe.
Awesome.
Masobe Books.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they.
Awesome. So they sorted. This
Yeah.
is really,
Really
beautiful.
beautiful.
I must really commend you though.
Thank
So are we looking at a Francine River kind of write-up here? It's fictional, right?
It's fiction, yeah, but it's not Francine River. It's not. Francine River is more religious, and this is not religious
Yes.
at all.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it means any woman can read it, or
Yes.
any man as well.
Yes, I have had a lot of men read it, and they really like
So
it.
what's the
Yeah.
expectation? What's the vision for this book in particular? Why do we need to read this book?
Well, fiction. I think fiction. The first objective of fiction is to entertain.
Okay.
So first to entertain, and two, I hope that it provokes questions and that it drives discussion.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's already
And
driving.
it's already driving. Look at us.
I think I'll just quickly take the last comment because I think we're running out of time. The definition of a complete woman is that she must be honest, faithful, compassionate, loving, industrious, and of an unquestionable integrity. Wow, all in one woman. The ideal woman is embodiment of kindness and a bridge to the upliftment of upcoming potential icons. That I agree with. The slap incident is just a manual reset. Gotta sneak that one in there.
But how do you, let me hear
Person
your
agrees
opinion.
with Issy.
I'm not too familiar. So I was listening to you because I heard about it yesterday. I get more information from listening to you
Yeah.
talking earlier. I think I need to digest everything that happened.
So if I
because
walked up to you now and I provoked you, will you get up and slap me?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I don't support physical violence in any way. I
any
wouldn't.
way, yes.
So it takes restraint. I must
Yeah.
say because
Yeah.
it depends on the level of provocation. It also depends on what the past history between them might be.
Yeah.
But we would all like to think we're better people. So
Yeah.
I think it's easier said than done.
Somebody has actually
Sure.
confronted
Yeah.
me like that at a function. She was all over talking. I was calm and I was looking at her.
Yeah.
In fact, at the end of the day, the ladies, I think the ushers, they were the one begging me, "Ma, please, sorry, ma." Yeah, because I don't think I would, no matter how much you provoke me, I'm that good.
Yeah, I
I
think
have
so.
other ways to deal with you.
Exactly, especially when these things don't go
Yeah.
out of the internet, so
Yeah.
it's going to be here forever.
Ever.
So I don't. It's not
You know,
something that
I believe in the power of silence.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand it, but you are
It's
more
slow to
powerful
react
when you're
yeah.
calm.
Yeah.
Sure.
But thank you so much, Bina. I think we had a fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mami. And
Yes.
thank you, Ote. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica with the hashtag WayShow. Drop all your comments, interactions, and everything. I think we'll post where you can get the book, right?
Yes.
Is it on Amazon or something?
It's at Amazon, is on my publisher's website,
Awesome.
masobebooks.com, and it's at Robin Heights bookstore. It's on major bookstores around, so
Lovely,
if your
lovely.
bookstore doesn't have it, ask them to stock it.
To stop it, right? right. I'm really, really proud of you. You see, this is the kind of quality in Nigeria that we're looking for. Please, we'll see you guys live on Monday. Oh, okay. If you missed today's quote, I need to repeat this quote so you hear it again. As a woman, we're expected to be superhuman, especially when you're a black woman. So don't blame people when they expect a lot from you. Just try to do your bit. We'll see you guys live on Monday at 8 p.m. Also bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.